Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster3, and yes, it's finally time for the next video in the 90s series. So, the year is 1997, so these are basically my top 10 favorite horror movies from this particular year. And please keep in mind that this is just my personal opinion, so if you do disagree, that's how it is sometimes. I mean, you can't always agree with everything that I say. I can't agree all the time with everything you say. So, yeah, just keep that in mind before I continue with this list. I have a little bit of a problem to find one of the movies in this list. I know for a fact that I have the movie in my list, in my collection, but I have absolutely no idea where I put it. So that's gonna be a mission for me to actually try to find that film in the collection eventually. So, yeah. But anyway, let's begin right away. First up, at number 10, we have the movie called An American Werewolf in Paris, which really feels more like a much more comedic type of film than American Werewolf in London. And this came out so many years after American Werewolf in London. So American Werewolf in London came out in the early 80s, and this came out in the late 90s. Um, and I mean, I have to admit that some of the CG in this one looks really atrocious in general. But what really saves it for me when it comes to this one is that I really like the locations, and I do like the actors and like the acting and the characters and the comedic parts to this film, which I really enjoyed. So that's pretty much it about what I really like about this film in general. So I think Julie Delpy in this one is really great as well. And I think that's how you pronounce her name. But yeah, An American Werewolf in Paris. So yeah, number 10. And then number 9, I can already see people being absolutely crazy that I didn't pick this one higher up in the list. Sometimes it comes down to the fact how much I remember the movies and like how often I've seen them. I've only seen this film once, and don't get me wrong, I still think it's an amazing film. So if I do rewatch this one, it might have ended up much, much higher up in the list. So, but anyway, it's a Japanese movie called Cure by Kurosawa. What's his name? Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who is not related to Akira Kurosawa, which probably some people think. But this is like one of these it has like a weird serial killer type of vibe to it. So some people would probably maybe not really say it's a horror film, but I think it has enough horror elements to it to actually put it into a horror list, because I think, if I'm not completely wrong, I think I included Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer on my 1986 list. So I mean, this is probably like the 90s version of that, you could say. It's weird to say the 90s version of that, but you get what I mean. But Cure, nonetheless, is an amazing film, and I think more people should watch it if you haven't seen it. Yeah, Cure at number 9. I can already see people screaming at me that I put this one higher up in the list, but this is one film that I watched more times and I have more memories of, so maybe that's the reason why. And it is the original Anaconda. Now this one I read about a little bit, that apparently they're making like some sort of remake of this. I don't understand why, because I think this original film is still goofy, stupid fun in general. Once again, when it comes to the CG in this one, it looks not the greatest. Just like with the sequel as well, which I kind of defend a little bit, the Anaconda Sound for the Blood Orchid, which I do prefer over this one actually. But part 3 and 4 are just really like very lackluster, and I mean the effects in those two are actually worse than the effects in part 1 and 2 in my personal opinion. But I would say it's the star power that really saves this for me. I mean, really memorable cast. You have Ice Cube, and you have what's her name, Jennifer Lopez, yeah, Ice Cube, John Voight, Eric Stoltz, Owen Wilson. I mean, there's some really memorable like actors in this one. And this one is directed by Louis Loza. I probably butchered his name, but he's also the guy who directed the very first sniper film with Tom Berenger, which I'm a big fan of. But yeah, this is fun, stupid, like garbage in general, I would say. So yeah, Anaconda at number 8. And at number 7, we have an underrated Stephen King type of film. I think this is fairly hard to come across these days as well. But I think the atmosphere in this one is really amazing, and it is the movie called The Night Flyer, with Miguel Ferrer, I believe his name is. Yeah, I mean Miguel Ferrer's character. I mean, he's like the main character of this film, so he's sort of like, he's one of the most like unlikable protagonists of all time. Not of all time, but he's a very unlikable protagonist. But at the same time, he's meant to be like that, and you do kind of root for him eventually. But in the first like half of the film, you're like, this guy is just terrible. I mean, he's really behaving badly around people in general, and so I don't really know what else to say about the film because obviously I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen this film. Uh, but it takes place like at an airport, you could say, or like an airfield, you could say. Um, yeah, Night Flyer. If you haven't seen this one, and if you're a fan of some of those Stephen King movies in general, go check this one out. Night Flyer at number 7. And then at number 6, we have a movie. Once again, is this really a horror film or not? But I mean, I would say it's sort of like a horror version of the fairy tale, you could say. And it is Snow White, A Tale of Terror with Sigourney Weaver and Sam Neill. Now, Sam Neill actually shows up in another film on this list eventually. I'm just going to say that. Um, I would say this still has enough horror elements to it to put it into like a horror film because you have like this really creepy looking witch played by Sigourney Weaver. You can't barely even see that's the same person right there, like right there. This is where she plays like the queen, and then we have like the old hag right here, and the dwarfs in this film. They are just so like rude in general and really like also like kind of like unlikable, but I think that is quite interesting to see it like that because usually you're used to like the happy-go-lucky type of dwarves in general. um but yeah, this one is really creepy and really atmospheric, and I really like the 90s vibe to this one. It almost has a weird made-for-TV feel to it, and that is not necessarily like a bad thing sometimes when it comes, especially the one made-for-TV movies that were made in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or have that special type of vibe to it. So, but anyway, Snow White, A Tale of Terror at number 6. Yeah. And at number 5, we have Scream 2 right here, which I completely lost track. Scream 2, I mean, I still think this is the best sequel to date, but then again, I haven't watched the later ones. I've only watched 1, 2, 3, and 4. Part 3, I think, is the weakest one. But this one is actually a really nice and entertaining follow up to the original one. You have the 90s atmosphere, you have memorable characters, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, real, because I mean, oh, come on, most people have probably already seen most of these Scream films anyway. But yeah, entertaining nonetheless. Scream 2 at number 5. Yeah. And I can already see people say, how can you put this film above Scream 2? Well, this is just my personal opinion. This is like the triple pack right here. I Know What You Did Last Summer trilogy, which is not even a trilogy anymore because they made some sort of weird reboot, sequel, whatever you want to call it, that came out this year, which I don't really have any like bigger interest in checking out in anyway. But this one is the first one. Once again, this has the same type of atmosphere and same type of vibe to it, like the Scream film. Because let's be honest, the Scream films, or at least the first Scream film, really inspired lots of all these other like slasher films that came out right after that, because they kind of tried to cash in on the success of Scream, you could say. So they made I Know It Was You Last Summer, they made Urban Legend, they made Valentine, they made a movie called Cherry Falls, which is kind of underrated as well. But there were so many of those films that definitely was like sort of like a. So, the reason why they got made in the first place was because of the success of the original Scream film. But I do like the first one. I think it has a nice tone to it, and the characters are interesting enough. I mean, some of the acting can be so from time to time from some of these people, but yeah, and I do like the killer, like the look of the killer as well. It's like really mysterious as to who he is and like what is his motivation and stuff. So I think that is quite fascinating as well. Nice score as well. I really like the score. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, the lighting in this film also is really memorable as well, like a weird, like a bluish type of lighting to it, which I really appreciated as well. Sequel is not as good. It's okay. Third one is really garbage in my personal opinion, but that's just me. But anyway, I Know What You Did Last Summer at number 4. Yes. And then at number 3, we had the movie which probably inspired the original Saw film, and it is the movie called Cube. And I've lost the count as to how many times I've watched this film because it is so incredibly rewatchable and so interesting as to how they came up with this idea, like how it got made and everything. Because it's a low budget production, but at the same time they were able to make sort of like all of these rooms, they kind of built just one room, but it feels like there are numerous of rooms that they've entered, like when they like in the film. But it was in reality, it was only like one room, which was like differently lit, but depending on what type of room they were supposed to be in, if that makes sense. But it's basically about these people that wakes up in this really large cube. They have no idea where they are, and there's of course traps from time to time depending on what room they're entering, and they try to figure out like how to get out of there, and if there's some sort of like connection as to how you would realize if it's the trap in a specific room or not. So these characters are just like, at first you're like, oh, you really feel sorry for them. After a while, some of them really snaps and they don't really know. They kind of like completely turns into like absolute crazy people in general. But I mean, I think most people would behave like that in a situation like that in general. Um, yeah, the characters are memorable. They're interesting enough, and they kind of do have great development throughout the entire film. I really like the effects as well. I mean, some of the more gorier ones as well. There's some really funny, unintentionally hilarious scenes as well in this film, which I'm obviously not going to spoil. But like the main premise for this film is basically about these people wake up inside of this large cube or like this weird facility. That they don't really know how many rooms there are, and it's basically about them trying to get out of there basically, uh, before time runs out basically, because you can't run around without any food or any like anything to drink for the longest time. So yeah, Cube. And I would also say part two and three are also watchable. I think part two, which is called Cube 2 Hypercube, is the weakest one. Cube Zero is sort of like a prequel to this one in a way, even though it's just called Cube Zero. I think that's the reason why it's called Cube Zero. Um, and actually, I think Cube Zero came out in the same year as the first Saw film. So you can probably tell that these films were probably the biggest inspiration to like for the Saw films in general. But I mean, for all of the movies in general in this series, I would say the first one is the best one. And if you do like the Saw film or like the Saw films, any of the Saw films in general, go check this one out. This is very entertaining, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one anymore. Apparently, this got like some sort of weird Japanese remake not too long ago, which I've only heard bad things about. But that's quite fascinating because usually it's the other way around, that the Japanese make some really entertaining film and then the Americans try to cash in on that and try to make a remake themselves. So that was quite interesting to see, like to read about that the Japanese decided to make a remake of Canadian production. This because I think this is a Canadian production. But anyway, Cube, nonetheless, it's an amazing film. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. So yeah, Cube at number 3. And then at number 2, we have the movie which I couldn't find in the collection. I know I have it somewhere. It's probably somewhere around here, maybe over here, maybe over there. I have no idea where I put it, and I'm just so mad at myself that I couldn't find it anywhere. But this is the other film that I mentioned before, which has Sam Neill in it, and it is the movie called Event Horizon, which almost feels. I mean, the best thing, or like the best way I could describe this one is, which some people would probably not agree with, but some people do. But I would say this is sort of like a Hellraiser in space in a way, because there's like different types of weird dimensions and sci-fi-esque type of vibe to it. Um, it has a very 90s feel to it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because there's lots of really amazing practical effects in this one as well. And for its time, I think the CG looks really, really good in general. Um, and the characters are memorable enough, and I think the actors are great. Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Sean Pertwee, among others. I mean, there's some really great actors in this movie in general. I think it's so unfortunate that because apparently there was another cut of the film. I think this was the director's cut, which I think is considered lost media at this point, or maybe they just haven't released it at all. I don't know what that story is all about with that one, but that's something that I would love to see because apparently I think that the director intended to make it a little bit more violent and gory than it actually was, even though it has lots of like blood gore type of scenes to it. But it had more of that, and apparently I think the studios didn't really like that, and that's the reason why they like forced him to cut down on the violence or something. There's some weird story about that, so I'm not really sure if this is absolutely 100% true or not, but that's what I've heard at least. But anyway, Event Horizon at number 2. If you haven't seen this one, if you like sci-fi horror, go check this one out. This is really great, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to get a hold of this film in the collection somewhere eventually. That's probably gonna be a mission for me to find that eventually. So yeah. But anyway, all that aside, then we get to number one, which I think is a character. I think it's a little bit of a shame that this series took sort of like a nosedive after the second one, because I think this, if it wasn't for these last two films in this franchise, I would say this would have been a character that is probably almost as memorable as Freddy Krueger himself, and that says a lot. And it is the movie directed by Robert Kurtzman, and it says Wes Craven, so I'm not really sure how he was involved. Maybe he was like a producer or something. Yeah, executive producer. So it was kind of produced by Wes Craven, and it is the movie called Wishmaster. And Andrew Devoff as this evil djinn makes an amazing performance. His voice is really like creepy, and he has some really funny one-liners as well. So it's both funny and scary at the same time. Lots of really entertaining effects. I mean, some of them are somewhat dated, but I would say those effects are more charming than like bad in a way like that. But it's basically about this girl who finds this. I think is it like a ruby or like a some sort of jewel or like a diamond. So she finds that in like I'm not sure if she finds. I think someone finds it for her, and then she kind of like tries to see what this is all about. But apparently, when she's like touching this jewel in a way, the djinn gets brought back to life because he's been trapped inside of this diamond or whatever for like ages. So then obviously he wants anyone to make 3 wishes, I believe. And once he gets all of those 3 wishes, he gets invincible or something. It's really weird when it comes to the storyline in general, but it's basically like he twists it around a little bit. So it's sort of like if you say that I would love to visit Paris someday, I mean, I wish for that, then he would probably like put you on top and then just like impale you with like on the top of the tower. So it's basically like a weird death thing about that. So I think that's a really entertaining premise and really fascinating premise in general. Yeah, I think for the most part it's really good. And I do like all of these like horror cameos in this one as well. So you have Robert Englund, who probably has the biggest role among all of these cameos. He's not necessarily a cameo because he still has a fairly big role in this one. You could say he's not the main character or anything like that, but he has somewhat of an important role. And then you also have Kane Hodder and Tony Todd. I think both of them played like sort of like security guards in a way. And yeah, I mean, this one, if you haven't seen this one, go check this one out if you do have really dark humor. I would also say if you do like this one, make sure to check out the second one as well. I think the second one is also very good. Not as good as the first one, but still very entertaining. Part 3 and 4, I would say, is not as good as the first ones because in the third one they decided to replace Andrew Devoff with another actor. I'm not really sure if Andrew Devoff himself couldn't decided not to show up again and like, oh, I'm over and done with this franchise, or maybe it was some sort of like scheduling conflicts. I'm not really sure what the storyline is or like the story is about that. But he was replaced anyway in the third one with another guy, and I think the third one is the weakest in this entire series. I think part 4 is way better than part 3. I mean, part 4 is still okay, I would say, but part 3 is just very forgettable in general. But if you do like the first one, check out the second one as well, I would say, and then you can decide for yourself if you would like to watch the third or fourth one in general. So, but anyway, Wishmaster at number 1 for my favorite horror movie from 1997. So yeah, Wishmaster. So there you have it. These are my 10 favorite horror movies from the year 1997. Next video is obviously I'm going to continue with this series and continue with 1998 and then eventually 1999. So after that, I'm not really sure if I'm actually going to try to make a similar video for like the 2000s as well, like 2000, 2001, and yeah, whatever. Or maybe I'm going to focus on the 70s movies. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see eventually. Or maybe I'm just going to do something completely else, maybe like another review video. I haven't made a review in quite a while. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this particular video, and if you do like the video, give it a like, thumbs up, Leave a comment or two. If you haven't seen any of these movies, please let me know if you've seen them and if you do like them or if you dislike them. Are there any movies that are missing on this list which you feel should have been included in this list? Please let me know, because I really look for movies in general, like horror movies in general, and that I haven't seen before. So yeah, and if you would like to follow me on Facebook, if you would like to follow me on YouTube, uh, subscribe to my channel if you want to. If you want to see like similar like content like this one in the future. So yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this particular video, and see you next time. Bye bye.